Equestrias Mirage by yours truly. Chapter 10. Nightmare of Death. Do you have the nightmare of death? Rarity stepped out slowly onto the windy plain outside Twilight, rubbing her hoof through her mane to clean out some of the dust. I have to say, these dream worlds are not exactly the most welcoming of places. Turning her head back and forth, the young mare began to look for her companion. Gertop, are you still with me? Rarely, the earth pony stumbled behind Rarity. Yes, I'm still here, just a little woozy from Benji. I didn't think that falling into a dream world would be this fast, or hurt my eyesight. It's probably the night affecting your eyesight, my dear, Rarity said, looking up the sky, then back to the starry city of Camelot. Though, to be honest, it does seem to be a smidge darker than usual for this time of night. Gertop looked up to the sky, her green eyes scanning over the line before turning to look at Rarity. How so? There are no stars, replied the white unicorn, before turning to face the gates of the now shadowy city. Come, maybe we'll find some ponies so we can discover what on earth it is that Twilight is dreaming about, and how to get her out. Nodding, Gertop followed Rarity into the city proper, when he gasped in horror as he took in the sight of what became of their city. Breathing came in short gasps as he looked into the storied city. The ruins of the larger buildings falling in on itself. Ponies everywhere were trying their best to fix the buildings that they could. Well, how did it Camelot? Well, right now we're all thinking it became Sapphire Heights, but that's another story. My word, Rarity says. He put a hoof to her mouth in shock. Taking a few steps ahead of Carrot Top, as he began to make her way to the newspaper stand. What's this, a wall? Is Twilight having a nightmare about a war she can't stop? Asked Carrot Top. No, it wouldn't be something that simple, Rarity said, looking down at the paper. I've been through Mirage's nightmares before. She attacks your heart and your mind. She wouldn't use war, too impersonal. She would No! That insufferable witch! I swear she is going to pay for this! Shocked by Rarity's outburst, Carrot Top turned and looked to the departing Rarity. Rarity, what does he do? She asked, running after her partner. Where are you even going? Running as fast as he could through the streets of the city, Rarity looked over her shoulder. So the Canterlot graveyard. There's something I need to see. What is it? Carrot asked, sighing as Rarity picked up speed without answering her. After a few short minutes, the two ponies soon entered the lifeless graveyard. The cold and unfeeling area giving off an unwelcoming presence as they walked slowing in. It did not take long for the two mares to discover what Rarity wanted to find. With a growl, Rarity turned her head away from the sight of the graves. Rot, you miserable witch! Swear I'm going to make you pay for what you're putting my friend through! Carrot Top, her curiosity piqued, looked over at the names on the graves. Upon the stone was the name of an element bearer, all except free. Here lies Celestia Lunafon Solaris. May their eyes forever shine. Here lies Miyamori Cadenza Armor, the once and future princess. She's afraid of some pony killing all of you? Carrot Top asked, confused. With a sigh, Rarity shook her head and turned to look at the castle. All to it did not, I'm afraid. Tell me, darling, what do you think of Twilight Sparker? Carrot Top sighed and looked down. Well, she is a good mare. Very nice. Always willing to help others, even though she could always stay behind, is very well read. Of course, all that's true. But few and I know that. But you'd be pretty surprised at what the word is at Canterlot. The fascinator said, looking down and sighing. Well, I'm not into the gossip scene as I used to be. You cannot possibly keep up with the latest fashion trends without keeping an ear out for the latest trends. What has he been saying? Asked Carrot Top. Her personality is not right for princesshood. Her paranoia will kill us all. She will become power mad. Her mind is the right type to lead to a tyrant and more. I have heard it all, and so is Twilight, sadly. You see, guys, I have read the people who complain about Princess Twi. I have read the comments, I have seen the insults, I have seen the fics, and they all basically say all that. This is What would happen if the real Twilight in the main set 5 had heard your insults? I know what you're thinking, but I never said that. And if you'd never said that, good. Then this is not pointed at you. But do you know how many times a person has said that? Several. This is to those people. But fortunately, she just laughs it off. After all, she told me once, if I do go mad, it will eventually be that I will fall. You guys will find a way on millennia later, some brave band of ponies will rediscover the Tree of Harmony, remember the gems and defeat me. It's all adventure. Unicorn's sigh ran a hoof through her mane to keep the wind from blowing it into her eyes. No. She once confided in me that she is afraid of something much worse. Not to mention, I also find Tyrant Twi and Twilight's going into overpowered mode kind of silly. I'll discuss that more with the final dream. What is that? Asked Carrot Top. Do you remember when I turned into Nightmare Rarity, and how I was saved? Asked Rarity. Carrot nodded. Yes, the 5 of your friends used the power of your inner magic to reach into your soul and put you out. Now, what would happen if there was only one of them? Rarity asked. Why would there only be... The Earth Pony stopped as the realization hit her hard. She let out a gasp while raising a hoof to her mouth. Celestia, no! Do you see what she's truly sorry or scared of? Rarity asked, trying to face Carrot Top. She's afraid of one day facing down some pony she loves. Me, the others, Shining Armor, Cadence, Nella, Trixie, or even Princess Celestia. And seeing no way to save them but to... First trail off. Kill them? Screeched Carrot Top. With a solemn frown, Rarity nodded and continued on. It was just a thought she had once, and has been haunting the poor dear for a while. I was able to hold myself back when I was a nightmare. What if I didn't, and decided to kill all of them but one? As long as one is alive, and she hasn't been deemed unworthy of the elements he bears, then it's up to her to befriend a new set of ponies to become bearers. So the plan would be for the corrupted pony to leave Twilight alive and stop her attempts from making any new friends, by any means necessary. Keep her alive and free, but kill every pony else. Quite a stroke of genius, no? But wouldn't she just be able to find a way to turn the corrupted pony? Asked Carrot Top. It was only by the friendship of my 5 friends that I was able to pull through. But if Twilight stood alone, Rarity shuddered. The poor girl could barely conceive of killing a monster like Discord. How could she be expected to do the same to two ponies she loves dearly? With a growl, she slammed her hoof onto the ground. And that miserable, contemptible sea-devil was forced her to endure that nightmare again and again, forced her into a situation where she can't find a third option, and that would be forced to take the life of her friend. Trixie, who had been listening, shook her head. That witch! How are we supposed to pull her out of this one? She took away. Rarity interrupted Trixie by breaking a few teeth of rage. Everything that she could possibly rely on to help save the day. Friends, dead. The idea that her friend is somewhere in there, if that were true, then she wouldn't have had killed the others. Being able to believe in herself, the poor dear is very modest. I think this would break her resolve. Why do people forget Twilight's modest? This why? With a shudder, Unicorn looked straight to Carrot Top's green eyes. When you told me about this nightmare, I didn't have any words of comfort for her. How am I supposed to save her now? What could I tell her to believe in that would show that it would be all right? Carrot Top stood for a few moments, listening to the wind and tiny sobs of Rarity. With a look to the graves and back to the weeping mare, the Earth Pony narrowed her eyes with sheer determination, walked up to her, and placed a hoof on Rarity's chest. Ines. Rarity raised an eyebrow. Of what? You should know more than I do that your friendship with her is far deeper than flesh and blood, Carrot said, smiling a little. You should remember that what you guys have is something eternal and will stay with you for a very long time. And I think Twilight should know that. In the end, she will not be standing alone, but all 5 of you will be at her back. I know that, but what does that have to... It means, interrupted Carrot Top. She will find a way to reach the heart of the other pony. It's who she is, isn't she? Even if the third person isn't that obvious, she will find a way to make one. As the realization dawned upon her, a small smile came across Rarity's lips. You're right, she can't. After all, she wouldn't be Twilight's sparkler if she couldn't. With that, the white unicorn walked towards the castle. Now the question becomes, how can we remind her of that fact? Nice job. Even Trixie wouldn't have thought of it. Carrot watched as Rarity left, smiling softly to herself. Of course, call it naive or foolish, but I'm never one to give up completely. As long as I know I am alive, there will always be a bit of hope in us. We'll just have to make it ours. Tracy smiled at this a bit. As she began to fade away into the ether to check on the other members of the team, Rarity, on the other hand, continued to walk down to the castle, deep in thought. I can't interact her with her directly, so talking to her is out. If only we could protect something to her, Carrot said. Tapping a hoof to her chin, thought came to her mind. After a few moments, her eyes shot up in a sudden realization. Idea! What? Carrot asked as he was grabbed by his shoulder by Rarity's magic. Just what? Twilight sat on the balcony, letting out a deep sigh as she watched the moon overhead. Sure, she had the power to lower the moon now, but she chose not to at the moment. There was no point to it anymore. She knew what was going to happen soon. She would have another blackout, and the timeline would reset. She would end up finding either the princesses once more in mortal combat, or her friends turned nightmare, or even a combination. A tear rolled down her purple alicorn's cheek as she looked beyond her horizon. Why? Why doesn't it just restart, get it over with? I can't win. No matter what I do, I can't even think of a way to. Now, where does this all come from? Asked Rainbow Daph's voice echoing from behind her. Yeah, they don't sound like the Twilight I know, Applejack's voice echoed. You don't understand. I have nothing to use when the nightmare starts again, Twilight argued. No friends to rely on, no backup plans, and no pony to help me. It happens every time I walk into that castle. Face down one of you and kill you. I haven't figured out a way to beat it, and I can't win. There isn't any way for me to win that doesn't end with every sub-pony I love dying. And you haven't thought about it yet. Twilight's voice also popped in. But how? Not the element of magic, dear. And even when you can't see us, you know we'll be right there to help you. Not body, then in spirit. We will never leave you behind, even if we are dead. Twilight sighed. But how? I have no point to. She trailed off and to think about a plan. But what if it wasn't me? What if I made myself unworthy of the element? Then I could take 6 points and make them new bearers. Could I really do that, though? Send them out alone against something they should be? No, they won't be alone. I'll follow them if I have to. That's the Twilight we know, smiled Rarity as the dream world shattered, and Rarity's illusion disappeared with it. Turning around, Twilight smiled at Rarity. Thanks for reminding me of something important. There's always a way, even if I have to make it. It is what you guys always taught me after all. With that, her body faded away. Into a small shard, it flew into Rarity's hoof.